Okay, hello, good afternoon, day, or night, depending on where you're at. I am pleased to continue on the series through Vermis. This is Vermis, Old Curses and Buried Horrors, and this is the next part of the story for part two. Now, I don't really know if these are part twos or what parts these are, but I just tend to stop whenever I see this right here, Vermis. So let's carry on. You come to be. Water flows between your fingers. Gentle waves rock you softly. You feel at ease. You open your eyes and behold a gray horizon, fog, and nothing else. As you begin to think, peace gives way to confusion. Shores of awakening. Uncertainty washes over you. You feel like a stranger in your own body. You stare closely at your hands, as if this were your first time seeing them. Each wrinkle and scar only adds to your perplexity. Do they always look like this? Maybe you never took the time to examine them this meticulously. You stagger to your feet, swayed by the waves, weighed down by your soaked clothes, hidden amid the broom. Not too far away, you distinguish the dark shape of a muddy shore. The coast is overgrown with a vicious thorny thicket that stretches into the mist in all directions. Firmly rooted into the ground, the briar patch stands impenetrable in your way, unmoved by the waves that wash its naked branches. Trying to tread through it would be an unimaginably painful experience. From now, your soul path follows the coastline. In this hazy, dreamlike realm, time seems to have lost all meaning. Wandering through the mist, emptiness gives way to emptiness, a vast expanse of gloomy stillness. Down below, your watery twin stares at you with silent mistrust. Sunken sword. Keep your eyes peeled for a gleam in the sand. Somewhere along your way, a sword is partially buried next to the bony remains of the old warrior. The weapon is almost completely covered by a thick crust of salt, and its grip is sculpted in the shape of a hooded figure. A painful blade. Weighted down by its marine coat, the sunken sword is a chore to wield. However, the blade will only get lighter with each swing as the fervor of battle chips away at its crust. A sharp, burning pain follows the wounds inflicted by the sunken sword. Even after it loses its saline skin, it will always remain tied to the sea. Embers in the fog. After walking along the shorelines for a long while, you start hearing the rhythmic splashing of distant footsteps. As they grow closer, it becomes clear that they must belong to a horse, or something akin to one. Eventually, a murk-cloaked centaurian shape emerges from the void. Still, nothing but a hulking dark silhouette against the endless gray. Suddenly, the mysterious figure stops dead in its tracks, likely aware of your presence, and stays there, silent and unmoving. If you dare approach the quiet horseman, you will soon become aware of its morbid nature. A tall, scrawny maiden, ragged and tattered white robes, rides the charred remains of a beheaded black stallion. The steed's exposed flesh smolders like the dying embers of a bonfire. Long, thin strands of red trickle from its severed neck, sizzling when they meet the cold waters, scorched horsemen. Salt and brimstone. The headless horse suddenly breaks into a gallop, stomping straight toward you as its rider raises a terrible axe above her head. Water screams and boils under the brutal trampling of the dark hooves, and the weapon slices through the mist as beast and rider approach. There is no escape in sight. Neither had you seen one in your long walk. With your foe drawing near, the earth trembles beneath you as a stench of sulfur and burned flesh invades the air. Any attempts to engage in combat with the scorched horseman will most likely result in your swift demise. Your best bet is trying to evade her attacks while pushing on along the path. Your pursuer cannot rely on sight to hunt you down, and will stop often to listen to your steps before charging directly towards you. Try to evade her onslaught at the last moment, so she cannot hear your movements. Throw yourself to the ground whenever she attempts a strike with her axe, but be careful, for the resulting splash will alert her of your position. Trying to fool her by throwing some of your equipment around will only work once. The rider's headless steed is a formidable beast, but it relies solely on its master for guidance. If the horse is hurt, be it by your hand or by the thorny bramble, it might thrash around violently, splashing boiling water and raising a cloud of hot vapor that hinders vision. The Fanged Cove. Here, the prickly thicket recedes, allowing the calm waters to overtake the land and form a small cove. At the farthest side, the bramble retreats further inland, giving shapes to a small cove that swallows the sea. The mist obscures all beyond its entrance. Safety lies within the cruel jaws of the briar. Unable to enter the cave with her steed, the horseman pauses and then retreats, vanishing into the brum. Advancing through the grotto, sand quickly dissolves amid the cobbles of a new-found path. A watery path. The tunnel slopes gently into the earth, and the copse above grows only thicker. The world around you darkens by the moment as light struggles to reach past the barbed canopy. Scan the floor. Soon the floor gives way to smooth, uneven stairs, eroded by the endless sea and strangled by the inescapable, loathsome thorns. Down they go until darkness devours them, taking the stream to places unknown. During the perilous descents, an over louder burble ahead announces the foreboding presence of a sudden drop. The stone stairs die at a small archway, through which the water eagerly flow. Uninviting as it might seem, this is the only way forward. The White and the Apple. Beyond the arch, the water pours from a colossal face of stone onto a round basin, before falling through its edges to further depths. You find yourself in a large round chamber. The stonework of the walls flow into the ceiling, forming a dome crowned by a skylight through which only brambles can be seen. On the other side of the room, facing the fountain, a large figure stands before an archway. The statue of a tall, thin, ghoulish man cloaked in loose robes holds a pristine apple. This apple acts as a reflection of your current state while you explore this region. Your decisions will affect its appearance. You would do well to check the condition of the apple frequently, or it will provide you with valuable insight. Fresh. All is well, for now. Rotten. Time is flowing faster than it seems. Bitten. You are being chased by someone. Something. Infested. You are afflicted by a curse or some other dark influence. Vermis. I'm going to continue on with this one since this was so short. Defiled Sanctuary. An old sanctuary, forgotten under the coast birthplace of a dark wickedness, engulfed by sinister brambles, as signs of its corruption. Invisible whispers harass you wherever you go. Carnivorous plants ferociously hunger for a taste of human flesh. Shapeless figures writhe within the shadows. A myriad of dangers lurk in these knotted, thorn-riddled halls. The inhabitants of the defiled sanctuary. Living roots, hunched centipede, a whispering wall, mural giant, vicious flora, the judge, living fairy, illusionist, spitting spittoon, dire tick, sun searcher, the witness. Do you have a favorite inhabitant? Let me know in the comments. You arrive at a room overrun with roots and vegetation. Before you lies a large pit that covers most of the floor. An unbearably foul stench rises from it. Hanging from its edge, roots plunge into the darkness below. On the opposite side of the room, twin archways are crowned with a symbol, each partially obscured by the plants. The symbol above the left arch resembles a sun, while its sibling atop the right arch takes the form of a moon. The Judgment. A test of guilt. Beyond the left archway, a large, twisted, briar-covered corridor leads to the Hall of Judgment. A deep pit filled with thorny tendrils surrounds the center of this cavernous chamber. There, atop a stone pedestal, rests a crystal orb. Behind it, a longsword, half covered by a tattered mantle, unearthly stands by itself. As you approach the orb, its surface starts shining with a captivating radiance that beckons you closer. Within its crystalline world, many hued, twinkling lights drift capriciously, bewitching you with their seductive dance. Deep in your daze, you can barely hear the soft rustle of cloth as the mantle starts moving on its own. As if worn by a figure unseen, the mantle takes on a humanoid shape, looming tall before you. Then, the sword too starts moving. Driven by an invisible force, it tilts, then rises, seemingly wielded by the cloaked threat. Within its confines of the hall, the lights slowly meld together, showing you very visions of an unknown life, moments of cruelty and weakness. You do not recall any of them as your own, yet some of the distorted faces that stare back at you from beyond the glass seem oddly familiar. The whole experience deeply disturbs you. You can keep staring into the orb. The blade is rested atop your shoulder, with its sharp edge gently digging into the flesh of your neck. After a few seconds, the mantle collapses and the sword falls inert to the floor. Then, the lights fade away, granting you freedom. Pry your eyes away from the orb. If you possess the will to resist the hypnotic influence of the crystal ball, the cloaked phantom will engage you with swift swings of its sword, shattering the orb or setting the mantle. A light will instantly vanish the unseen presence. The barbed path. Many hallways and chambers of the sanctuary have fallen into decay. Through their collapsed ceilings, the vile bramble has invaded this once holy place, its thorns pricking at your skin as you explore the snaking passages. Throughout the ruinous corridors, beastly plants bask under the gray light that sneaks down through the tangled roof. Disturbed by your presence, they snap their terrible jaws in your direction. These verdant predators roam free throughout the overgrown sections of the sanctuary, always in search of sunlight and sleeping when none can be found. If you do not wish to deal with their paralyzing venom, wait for the sun to move to a different part of the dungeon, or lure them into the drowsing darkness. If you find yourself chased by 3 voracious plants, wait for them to get close and aim for their necks. One swing of a well-sharpened blade will kill them instantly. Avoid using bows, for unless lit ablaze, arrows and bolts will cause little to no harm to them. Silent sightings in the sanctuary. The sleeping Hydra. A dark hall deep within the sanctuary has become the last resting place of many large specimens of vicious flora. Here they lie dormant and stepping into their roots, which cover large sections of the floor, or even grazing them. Withered gray bodies is enough to make them bite by reflex in their directions. The waving hand. Sometimes, as you explore the twisting hallways of the sanctuary, you might catch a glimpse of something pale, and it quickly hides behind a nearby corridor. If you wait for a few seconds, a spectral white hand will emerge from behind the corner and wave at you before moving out of sight once again. Save your words, for no response will be uttered. Instead, wave back at the mysterious hand before it disappears, and it will point towards the center of the sanctuary. The pale hand will never appear while you are carrying a light source, or if you acted hostile towards it before. The giant cannibal. Following wet footprints, you can arrive at a room with a flooded floor. It will appear empty at first, but if you turn around, you might come across a skeleton of monstrous proportion resting in one of the corners. Upon closer inspection, you may discover that it is filled with a large number of skulls and other human bones. Do not attempt to remove any from it. The sealed one. In the heart of the temple, you find a large door from which hundreds of prickly roots emerge. Covering the wall around it, dry and brittle, they crumble away when you open the door. Beyond the opening, a huge humanoid figure made out of roots lies embedded into the floor, walls, and ceiling of a small chamber. The masonry is cracked all around it. A glitter of color shimmers behind the torso of the effigy. Coming closer, you can discover a sword-bearing corpse clad in a bejeweled armor, crushed against the wall, entangled by the massive roots that forms the midsection of the figure. The amount of force can free the body from its presence. No amount of force can free the body from its prison, for these roots have grown thick and strong over the years. Only by blade or fire will they relinquish their captive. Mural giants. The walls of the room start trembling, creaking around you as dust and debris rain from the ceiling. Suddenly, the upper section of the figure snaps free. It looms over you, disturbingly swaying from side to side, as if caught in the wind. The strikes of the giant are sluggish and erratic. Its writhing arms keep trying to get a hold of you, But for as long as you keep moving, it will just slam against your body and knock you to the floor instead. Do not stand still, even for a moment, or getting grabbed by its thorny tendrils would mean certain death, since they are more than strong enough to dig through metal and flesh. Freezing or destroying the armored corpse are the only ways of killing the foe. Living short sword. Unless fire is used to destroy the remains of the warrior, this root-covered sword can be recovered from them. It is a mighty weapon, despite the dull blade, for sharp thorns sprout out of its blade while wielded by a living hand. Upon the death of the giant, part of the wall behind him collapses, breaking open a window that had been bricked shut long ago. Airborne specks glitter in the pale light that pours in from the hole. This is your way out of the sanctuary. While the corpse's armor has long since been mangled beyond the skill of any blacksmith, by the sharp roots of the giant, the gemstones embedded in it remain unshattered and can easily be pried off. Vermis. Okay. We will be stopping there for part 2. I hope you enjoyed that part 2 section. If you want to see more, please let me know. And if not, I love to hear critiques and anything like that. What I can do better, what I can do more. If I mispronounce things, please let me know. Okay, have a good rest of the time, and I will hopefully see you in the next video.